I like to trade IPOs and mature stocks. And if I'm trading an IPO in its early phase, I'm going to be using faster rules to trade that. If I'm trading a more mature stock with high conviction, I'm going to be looking for longer term rules to hold that. And in terms of long holds for me, that would be about a year to year and a half or so. Shorter term holds in the IPO advanced phase, I may be holding for weeks or months. So that gives you a little bit. I focus on growth names. I'm looking for really strong revenue growth, a great story. And then I'm looking for the technicals to confirm my opinion of the company.
And you like trying the products, right?
Yes, I do.
I love that. Or the ones you can get your hands on.
Yeah. I have a new pair of Birkenstocks, actually. I should have worn them.
In general, I'm a long-term trader. So I definitely, when I'm buying a new stock, my hope is always that I will be able to hold on to it for a year and a half. I know the stock might not give me that opportunity. And of course, I'm flexible with that. So my preferred phase of the life cycle trade phases that we identified is the institutional advanced phase. So not right after an IPO comes out, usually there's a due diligence phase after that. And then at that point, which could be, a month, 6 months to 2, 3, 4 years later, I'm really trying to capitalize on that first mature base. I will trade IPO bases and that IPO advanced phase soon after an IPO comes out, but it would have to be a stronger stock.
A concept that both of you use is the MCP concept. So that's your capital preservation threshold. So if you are trying to sit in a big winner, at the, very least, what are you willing to give up, right? So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so mental capital preservation rule, we've talked about in the book, and basically it's another way to look at how to hold your gains or preserve your gains, depending on what stage you're using the rule. So for me, I use it once I have a substantial gain in the stock. So like if I have on my initial core position, I'm up 100%, then I want to retain at least 50 to 60% of my gains. So that means I'm going to use an MCP of 50 or 60. But I'm also looking at the moving average lines as well. And we'll talk about that more when we actually look at an actual stock chart. But essentially, that's what it means. And for me, on the long-term side, no matter what stock I'm buying, after I have a large gain, I want to retain 50 to 60% of that profit. You see it had an IPO base and an initial run up. So I know, Allie, you've got the annotations on that. Yes. And that peak there where the green flag, 8-week flag hold rule is the turbulence zone. So let's go ahead and draw that line through, because it's important now to see that it's above that turbulence zone. And it's going to be interesting and important to see how it responds now here on this pullback. Is it going to be able to stay above that turbulence zone line? Underneath that line, before it got there, we essentially call that the institutional due diligence phase. And that big, large consolidation that Market Smith, what you highlighted, but then also that first consolidation, you could, I wouldn't say it's a first consolidation. It's not a first great looking base, but it's something. And I had been watching this one all the way back in March of 2022, where you see those huge bars of support. Those were just, I remember, I just couldn't believe it, how low it went, but then both times it ended at the top of the range. And that's a huge range. Clearly, I wasn't buying it at that point because there still wasn't a constructive pattern. But to me, that showed interest.
I just wanted to mention snow. That came up as a question from a lot of people that are on today. And I do have a position in this. I do think it's acting okay since the earnings gap. I'd like to see it power out of there. It is a name that has strong revenue growth. It's in the AI space. It's partnered with NVIDIA to allow companies to develop AI applications and models on their platform. So I like the theme. The action is okay so far. It's gone through a long institutional due diligence phase. And I wanted to mention Snowflake as well, because like my final thought is this bear market has created such great opportunities. Some great names have been basing for a year and a half, 2 years. And this is the time really to run the screens, watch the action, research the names, and they're giving us time to do that. They're setting up in some first or second bases, first mature bases. And this is it's like just a great time after a bear market. It's harder in terms of staying very positive when we go through a bear market, but now we've already had some movement, and we have now IPOs that we can look at that may be coming out of institutional due diligence phases. I do have a small position in this. It is a thinner name, so I had to size it appropriately. I'm interested in it because every once in a while there's just a great shoe company that does really, really well in the market. So I was watching it as it went public, and it formed that little very short consolidation. This one I was not early to. So you see that big bar?
Oh, this one.
Yes. So as it cleared the left side high there of the first trading day, that's where I established just a small pilot position. It helps me keep an eye on this name. I'm kind of fascinated. They've been around for a long, long time. They seem to be very popular now with everyone, but the younger generations as well. And so it's something that I want to watch. The numbers are pretty good. I'm always looking for strong revenue growth. I think the last quarter they had like 30% revenue growth. This is in the IPO advanced phase. So I'm not going to give this a whole lot of room, even though it's a small position. I'm watching how it acts here at the 50-day moving average. I'd want to see it hold and be able to progress from here. But it is a name that I'm holding a small core in.
Just super quick, your power screen parameters.
Yes,
Can you just give us?
power screen?
You're good.
So it's a very simple screen. It's looking at price move from a certain point in time. I choose that time, and typically I'm doing it off of the recent bottom. So when we had the bear market, when we bottomed back in like October of 2022, we then retested in December of 2022, I'm running pure percentage price moves for stocks that are liquid, and I'm looking for percentage price moves, and then they get on my radar, and then I'm watching and researching them, waiting for them to set up. And so again, I've rerun that again since we recently had that bottom in again. So I run it around 8 weeks out, and usually it identifies, anecdotally I found it identifies a couple of the new leaders of the either new rally or new bull market. And so it's just my favorite screen, especially after a significant correction or a bear market.